Hi everyone, my name is Presla Keener, and today I'm going to explore how feminist leaders have used their voices to resist being invisible and really how Taylor Swift continues this tradition today. From Sojourner Truth to Susan B. Anthony, Gloria Steinem, and finally to Taylor Swift herself, we'll see how women have used speech, activism, and art to make themselves heard across US history. My research question is: how have feminist leaders used public voice to challenge women's invisibility, and how does Taylor Swift continue this tradition? We'll explore this by looking at historical figures who fought for visibility in different ways and then connect their works to Taylor Swift's music today. And here's my thesis: feminist leaders have historically used public voice to resist political, social, and cultural invisibility. Sojourner Truth, Susan B. Anthony, and Gloria Steinem each made women visible in their eras, and Taylor Swift continues this feminist tradition today by using her music and platform to expose gendered double standards and reclaim women's narratives. Social invisibility is when women's experiences are left out of history, media, and stories we tell about the world. Intersectional feminism shows how race, class, and gender overlap, which does happen to push some women even further into the background. Cultural feminism focuses on bringing women's voices and stories back into the center so that they can fully be seen and heard. Okay, so let's start with Sojourner Truth. She was born into slavery in 1797, and despite unimaginable hardships, she found her voice to fight for both racial and gender equality. Her 1851 speech, Ain't I a Woman, is short but powerful as she asked why her strength, hard work, and womanhood weren't counted the same way as white women's. She said, if the first woman God has ever made was strong enough to turn the world upside down all alone, these women together ought to be able to turn it back and get it to the right side up. Overall, Truth's words were early examples of what we now call intersectional feminism, as she recognizes that race and gender can't be separated when talking about equality. Next, Susan B. Anthony fought for women's legal equality. She wanted women to be recognized as full citizens under the law, and one of her most famous quotes is, "Men, their rights and nothing more. Women, their rights and nothing less." She also warned women not to forget themselves, saying, "The history of all times, and of today especially, teaches that women will be forgotten if they forget to think about themselves." Anthony's work helped make the 19th Amendment possible. While it didn't fix all inequalities, especially for women of color, it was a huge step towards legal visibility. Okay, now Gloria Steinem is the face of second wave feminism. She challenged cultural stereotypes in the media, co founding Miss Magazine, and used humor and journalism to make serious points. One of her most famous lines is, "A woman without a man is like a fish without a bicycle." She also said, "The truth will set you free, but first it will piss you off." Steinman knew feminism meant shaking things up and making people uncomfortable before real change could happen. Her focus was on making women visible in media and in culture. Okay, now if we put these women on a timeline, we can see a clear progression of visibility. So Sojourner Truth made Black women visible, Susan B. Anthony fought for women's visibility in law, Gloria Steinem challenged media and cultural invisibility, and Taylor Swift today brings feminist messages into music and popular culture. Even though that these methods have changed, the goal is the same: women claiming their space in society and culture. Taylor Swift is a modern feminist voice. She speaks out against sexism and unfair double standards, takes control of her story after media criticism, and uses her platform to highlight issues that affect women. Her music reaches millions, showing that cultural visibility is still a form of power. In The Man, Swift imagines how her life and reputation would be different if she were a man. She sings, "I'm so sick of running as fast as I can, wondering if I'd get there quicker if I was a man." So I interviewed my friend Emmy, and here's what she had to say about it. Hi, Emmy. In The Man, Taylor Swift sings about how her life and reputation would be different if she were a man. What do you think this song is saying about gender and fairness?
I think Swift is pointing out how women get judged more harshly than men. It really makes you think about how unfair society can be and how hard women have to work just to be seen the way men are.
And so this directly connects to the intersectional idea of how gender and power shape visibility. And now in Mad Woman, Taylor Swift points out how women's anger is often dismissed or weaponized. "Every time you call me crazy, I get more crazy," which are the lyrics. So I interviewed my other friend Maria, and here's what she had to say about it. Hi, Maria.
Hi, Presley.
In Mad Woman, Swift talks about women being labeled as crazy when they express anger. How does that relate to women's experiences today?
It really shows how women are punished for speaking up or showing their emotions. Even today, women are called too much or emotional for standing their ground. So the song just feels really real and relatable.
Okay, and now both songs continue the feminist tradition of refusing to stay silent. So, all in all, from Sojourner Truth to Taylor Swift, women have used public voice to resist invisibility. Each generation builds on the last, showing that invisibility is not just representation, but it is also power. Taylor Swift reminds us that the fight for equality is ongoing and that cultural and artistic platforms can just be as powerful as law or